Hi guys, I'm Danny, and I started a Sunday gym because I've noticed lately that people tend to go to colleges and universities without actually knowing why they're there. And afterwards, starting jobs that are unfulfilling. So I'm interviewing different professionals to see what they have to say and share their knowledge and experience with you. I hope you enjoy it. Scott, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. It's a great day to be alive.
Every day is a great day to be alive, to be honest. And the program will be focused on three main questions. What do you do for a living? How did you get there? And how did you knew that this was the way to go? So that's what you do for a living, please.
Yeah, so what I do for a living, I'm a keynote speaker. My brand is the Change Energizer, and I energize success-driven leaders to take innovative action on their bucket list goals and push them across the finish line. And I do that with teams, and I do it with leaders, and it's just a boatload of fun. I love what I do.
Oh, I can tell. I can tell by the background. I can tell by the smile you have on the face. I can tell by this, that there's a certain lightning in the eyes. Uh, I don't know if you've been there, Etna and Vesuvius, the volcanoes, the eruption of those islands, and they have this little crystal, like onyx-like crystal, and when the sun reflects it, it shines all over the place. And I can tell you love what you're doing.
Oh, great. Well, I'm glad that I give off that kind of energy. That's my whole point.
Absolutely. And so were you walking the street one day and you suddenly decide to do it out of nowhere, or something led you to that path?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it's a little bit of a long answer. All
Go
my
ahead.
formal training, all my formal training is in theology. So when I was finished up high school, I knew that I was called to get involved in the ministry. So I went to college and got my degree in theology. And then in my 20s, I traveled as an evangelist in 47 of the 50 states, over 350 cities for denomination.
Amazing.
And real quickly, it became obvious that I was gifted in helping leadership teams and church organizations. And so churches would bring me in to preach a revival, but during the day, I was helping the leadership teams. So leadership and management and helping people, you know, push their goals across the finish line is something I've been doing forever. And I'm just real clear that's what I'm called to do. Well, in my 30s, I pastored a church, built a 13,000 square foot worship facility. And then in my 40s, yeah, thank you. It's pretty exciting. Uh, $1.3 million project back in the day. And and then in my 40s, I transitioned into the business world. And so now I do for the business world what I did in the church world. I help develop the leadership teams. I help develop their people in some specific products, but to be high energy and to know what they're gifted in and work in that area. So I've been doing this forever.
And you clearly that's your calling because you wouldn't have been. I know people that are trying different things, and I myself did like a few things. It really worked for me, and you can tell that when it's like an old glove. So
Yeah.
it's I'm an Orthodox Christian, and for me,
Good.
you know, we have that kind of a belief that yeah, it's nice to have a church as a building, but in the Orthodox theology, I am the church. Like the body
Right.
is the church. I don't know how it's, in I know Catholics are not like that. I don't know anything about evangelism, so forgive the ignorance. We just don't have a lot of those here. But this is how we are, and I rarely go to church. I do mostly for the vibe because the church I'm visiting was built 15 centuries ago by Emperor Justinian the
Wow.
Great. And I live in a city called Sofia, and it has a specific mineral water, and it has said that there's a healing, stuff in the water. And his daughter was very sick when she was young, so the Roman emperor took her here so that the water can heal her. And obviously that's what happened. So now the city is named Sofia after his daughter. And this
Oh,
church was established. 18 or 19 centuries ago, but it was a pagan temple. And he was like, well, since I'm here, might as well turn you into Christians. So, yeah. Back then it
I
was
bet.
like that. And
Yeah.
it has that specific feeling, when you walk this, because there's only one way to get to that church, and you literally have to walk the same path that the emperor had to take. And it's energizing, just like you show. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that aside, when I pray, I do it at home alone, and I don't have that, connection to the building. In my case, I have connection to the history because I love history in general, but I don't have the connection to the building per se.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people who have a very strong personal relationship with God, and they do it.
Absolutely.
It's between them and God, and they don't have to go to a building. God doesn't dwell in the building, but having a place
Yeah.
where people can congregate and build community and get others involved and get do projects. One of the things that we used to teach churches is you may have, like, let's say, a men's ministry, and you call it, okay, well, our church has a men's ministry. Okay, great. Well, the ministry happens in events. And if you don't have events that are dotted on the calendar, then you don't have a ministry going on. And that's part of what I did is I helped the different ministries put events on the calendar where they could exercise whatever it was that they were trying to help people with. Well, today in the business world, I call all the people who've been through my workshops, that's my congregation.
Yeah.
And so I take them through experiences that are really life altering. I mean, you come to my workshops, you go through my retreats, you come out a different person. And so I'm called to do the same thing. It's just in the business world. Christianity is still a huge part of my life and work, and anybody who hears me can pick it up pretty
Yeah.
quick, but I'm not overt about it necessarily.
No, you shouldn't really be over about it. It's just something that you carry within your soul, and that's about it. But it's interesting. Your case is super interesting because, again, I'm not imposing my views. I'm just saying it how I
Sure.
see it and how I feel it. But God's principles are eternal. So if you can apply it in a church, you can apply it elsewhere. In your case, business. But and this is why, I'm pretty sure seen it. We are judging people from far in the past by today's standards. And that's the beauty about Christianity and about God, because those principles, again, they're eternal. There's no such thing as dead aged badly. Now, you can see that in other religion. I have friends from all kind of religion, but in its core, the philosophy of Christianity is, love thy neighbor, understand that the problem is within you. You have to, be better. Don't. I'm sorry, I'm not good with the Bible, but you
No, you're
see
spot
issue
on.
with
You're
your
spot on.
brother,
And
but you
that's
don't see the big issue within you. It was something like that. Love thy neighbor, forgiveness. It's the only religion that I know of that highlights the importance of forgiveness. No matter what happened, you're not in a position to judge. Don't, because when you judge it, you have resentment. And that resentment is not of God, that's of the devil. This is
right.
at its core. And no other religion that I know of highlights that. So you have this eternal principle. So it makes absolutely sense for you to, when you carry it within you, to apply it to different aspects of your life.
Yep. I mean, you hear about companies all the time saying, well, our core values are X, Y, and Z. Trader Joe's is a company here in the States, and they have six core values that they really hold on to. And so they operate their business and their managers and their leaders and the work that they do based on those core values. Well, Christianity has core values that come from the Ten Commandments or the Sermon on the Mount or some of the teachings in Proverbs. And what it does is it gives you a structure, and you're not wondering now, what should I do today? You have a code of ethics, you have a core values that help you stay on track and stay pace with what you're supposed to be doing. One of the things that I developed a few years ago, and it's really come back to life now, is what's called the trust credit score system. And like in America, we have a FICA credit score for finances that measures the confidence people have in the way you manage your money, save money, your debt, your cash ratio,
Yeah.
all of that. And when the score is high, you can borrow money and get low interest rates. But when your FICA score is low, it's hard to borrow money and the interest rate is high. So I created a trust credit score based on 5 areas where people trust you. And so when you are sending the right signals in your behavior and your conversation about trust, then high trust teams get to take care of high stake challenges and pull off great results. Well, all of that means that there's a code of ethics. And when somebody breaks a code, you don't throw them out. You have a courageous conversation with them to get them back on track.
Yeah.
So all of that is, mirrors a lot of the stuff that I grew up with. And so it's just, you know, I've been very clear about what I was supposed to do. You asked that originally. I hear people that aren't.
Yeah.
Sometimes they come to
Well,
me and they say, Scott, help me get clear. What are my gifts? What do I want to do? And there's some things that I take them through to help them. And some they do, they get real clarity. They understand who they are and where they're gifted. And others, not very many, but some, they just vacillate and they can't make a decision. You have to make a decision and go after it.
I agree. And sometimes, not often, because mostly the podcast side, that's a side thing. I got a job. One of them is, office guy, finance and logistics. The other one is real estate.
Yeah.
So, every now and then this religion thing pops up. And when people are asking me about it, it's like a taboo topic. It's like, hey, Danny, what do you think about? And it shouldn't be like that. It's not something you should be
Yeah.
ashamed of because it's, that kind of a society. I'm not blaming people. I really am not. I'm just highlighting it because once you see it, then you can, identify it as a problem. You can work with it. And I assume it's the same, your place.
Yeah.
So I can only assume, but I think I am correct when you go to a certain business and you start, training people and so on and so forth, and they, hey Scott, what did you do before that? And when you bring that up, what's the reaction?
Yeah, it's really been cool.
Yeah.
Most people, the first thing they say is, I can see that. I
Okay.
can see that, you're a speaker and you seem to be pretty good at that. And I know now why, because you've had all these years of speaking experience. And then other people also say, I can witness your heart. Your heart is not uh, a corrupt or a bad heart, but you have a heart for people. You believe the best in people. You want to see the best in people. You're creating tools to help people who've fallen, who have broken their trust credit score and fractured that. You want to help them rebuild that. So people see that. I I can't tell you that everybody feels that way. There are a few people that have their own bias and their
Yeah.
own irritations with their experience in religion or Christianity. And
That's
sometimes they
everybody.
bite at me. They bite at me, but it's not about me, it's about them. And I try to be uh, understanding and help them realize, I'm sorry you had a bad experience, but not all experiences are that way. I had a great experience. So, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good question.
Well, yeah. One of my core philosophies is you put it as there's no such thing as personal. Nothing is personal. That thing, it's personal. It's born out of the ego. It's not personal. I could have been a completely different man, as a physical appearance, uh, shorter, fatter, whatever. And if I treated you exactly the same way I'm treating you now, I treat everybody the way I want them to treat me, by the way. So you
Yeah.
would have still give it all those answers exactly the same way. So it's not personal. When somebody hates you, it hates what you represent, not you per se, not you specifically.
Yeah,
Your
that's a good
wife,
point.
your wife being married to you, that's not personal either. You are the type of man that she wanted, and you were there when she needed a husband, and vice versa.
Right.
And people are always shocked when I say it, and it sounds a little bit cruel, but it really isn't because it's quite a reality. I didn't, I have a job. I didn't go there because I like the logo. I went there because I like the amazing conditions and pretty good salary. They didn't took me because I was charming and funny. They took me because I had a specific skill set that they needed at the time, and it's been like that 6 years now. So it's
Yeah,
not.
there's a lot of people who don't get that. That there's some things that they don't understand about that little topic. My my youngest daughter is a mechanical engineer with a specialty in commercial HVAC, and
Pretty good.
she's got all this training, and she's really good at what she does. And she just applied for at a new company, and so they're looking at all her skill set and all the things that she is technically trained to do, and her history with that and how well she did. But they're also looking at how well she integrates with others and
Yeah.
how she and a team work together. My other daughter is a prosecuting attorney, and the same way with her, she's been promoted and given opportunities both on her skill set, and she's really good at what she does. She finds the bad guys and she prosecutes them, puts them away. But her ability to work with her team and work with the people around her, that's a huge thing, And so they do look at who you are, but they look at your abilities to get things done and push them across the finish line. And that's kind of a trademark for me. I help people take action, number one, on their bucket list goals, those big challenging things that, man, they wondered, can I really do this? To take action on those and push them across the finish line, not up to the finish line, but across the finish line so they can have those big wins and celebrate. I love doing that.
As I said, I can tell, and you have every reason to love it because it's amazing. My third question is, how did you knew that this was the way to go? And the reason, sorry, a little bit under the weather.
It's all right.
I'm a little bit under the weather, so I sound horrible. But that aside, the reason I'm asking this third question, how did you knew that this was the way to go, is because, and that's one of the main reasons I started this program. People go to colleges, universities, they go there for the diploma, for the piece of paper. They're out of there. Now they they don't know, okay, is this actually for me or not? That's a miserable way of living, especially if you're doing something you're clearly not meant to do. I knew exactly what I was going to do for a living when I was 16 years old. I didn't knew
Wow.
that this will be the way of, the specific job title that I'm holding at the moment. But that isn't really that important. But I knew in what kind of sector I'll be working, what kind of programs I'll be using, how to implement them, and so on and so forth. I was 15, 16, and I'm an absolute minority. A lot of people are not like me. And technically, you're also in the minority because you kind of also always knew what you'll be doing. But, as you said, being cold, that's a very strong thing. But you know what? Fine. Not how did you knew that this was the way to go. How did you knew to trust the calling? I'm going to shift the question.
Yeah, so I'm glad that you asked that because it makes me go back and really take a look at what was going on there. I knew in my heart and in my gut that this was something that I needed to do, and I knew that I didn't know a lot about it. And so, of course, I talked to my mentor, which was my pastor, and I said, "What do you think?" And he said, well, if you really feel like this is your thing, I want you to know that it'll be challenging. It's not going to be easy. And you're going to really have to put your nose to the grindstone, as we say. And he said, but go to college. And we have a private Bible college in Houston, and
Oh,
then we have another one in Stockton, California, and so he said, go and be with those people, be in the middle of that thing, that Bible college, and and see what happens. And so I did. I went and I jumped in with both feet, and I was extremely focused on it. And I mean, things just started opening up. So I won a speech contest my first year in college. My first year in college, I was uh, nominated to go on a missions tour to Central America, to Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, and and so things were just opening up. And then I went to uh, Stockton, California, to the private college there, and before halfway to the year, I was leading crusades from the college down into Los Angeles and all up and down California. And so it just became apparent, yep, this must be where you belong. Now let's fast forward 30 years later. 30 years later, now I'm in the business world, and I'm doing the uh, not the same thing, but a lot of the things. I'm helping people. I'm helping businesses with their structure and processes. But about 7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago now, I took an assessment called the Fascination Advantage, and it was an assessment about how the world sees you, and it identifies 7 different what we call advantages. And the top two for me, number one was innovation. I am gifted with innovation, the language of creativity. And I do. You could blindfold me, tie my hands behind my back, and if you come up with a problem, I just come up with creative solutions about how to deal with things. My second highest one was power. And power is take action confidence. I don't have to have 100% of the information. I can have about 75% of the information, and I'm ready to go. I can take action. I will take action. Nobody else is taking action. The energizer's going to take action. And so in that profile, it gives you a nickname. And my nickname for that profile is the Maverick Leader. So when I read that, I just went, really? Now, I had just gone through a divorce. And so I was pretty beaten up, and I didn't have a strong self esteem at that point. And so I went to some of my friends and I said, I took this profile and it calls me a maverick leader and, innovation and power. And I'm not so sure. What do y'all think? And every one of them said, oh, my word, Scott, yes, you are loaded with innovation. And yes, you are a maverick leader. You're, irreverent and you're dramatic and you take action and you have a lot of confidence. And then another coach worked with me. And from the maverick leader is where the change energizer came from. And in that brand, it's how the world sees me. One of my coaches told me not long ago, said, you can't see your own label from the inside of the bottle.
yeah. Hmm. I can confirm
And
that.
and that profile helped me see how the world sees me and gave me permission to lean into my giftings. And as I leaned into my giftings, the magic began to happen everywhere. So all of those things contributed to the clarity of who I am, what I'm called to do, and how I can help people um, reach their goals. So this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
It is. It's amazing. When I started the program, I know this guy. He's ridiculously talented artist, a, a tremendous painter. He's been refusing to be on my show for a few years now, but I'll get him eventually. He's the one who designed the logo of my podcast.
Oh,
Yeah, and I called him because we're friends. I go, listen, I'm starting this podcast. I need a logo, and I started describing like So I wanted to be named the Sunday Gem, and I want to be with those old Slavic letters, that kind of stuff. And I'm explaining, he's listening, he says, that is so stupid. I don't even know where you got that idea from. Nobody will pay attention to it. It's ridiculously stupid. What are you on? Okay, okay, so what do you suggest? And because that aside, before I started, I was on a few other podcasts as a caller and as a guest. He said, send me the YouTube links and highlight the time slots where you're the one talking. And I want to hear you. I want to see how the people are reacting to it. And then, if there's a live chat, I want to see what they're talking about you because, this is something you have no control over. And I'll come up with the logo. I say, all right, fine. So that's how I ended up with the Black Rooster for some reason and the TSJ. It has nothing to do, but yeah, you're absolutely right. You can't see the label from the bottle, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's stuck. I told a lot of people that story, especially people because the guy that designed it, we've known one another for about 20 years, probably even more. And when I'm telling you, they're like, yeah, that's pretty stupid. Why did you even decide to go? That's not the point of the story.
Yeah, that's funny. I love that.
Scott, I have a fourth question. I'm never putting it in the invitation. And so far, I have never gotten the same two replies. Similar
Okay.
reply, but never have the same. If you can give my audience one advice, my audience is especially made of people who right now in college or just graduate college. They had their first job or they just feel that this job is no longer for them. If you can give those people one advice, what will it be?
Well, that's a great question, and I love it. There's a saying that I live by that is it's a saying that I live by. Things may come to those who wait, but only what's left behind by those who hustle. And if you're waiting on your knight in shining armor to come get you and take you to a great job, you're going to be waiting a long time. He ain't coming. Things may come to those who wait, but only what's left behind by those who hustle. And whatever you want in life, go after it. The door of opportunity reads push. So push towards the things that you want. And as Napoleon Hill said, when you have a burning desire in your heart, it will open doors for you and it will take you where you need to go. So that would be my advice. Um, what do you have a burning desire to do? And then take action and go after it. Even if you don't know all, you're not going to know everything, but
Nobody knows.
a moving car can be steered, but a parked car, you can't do anything with it. So start moving. And as you, like, for instance, my oldest daughter, she, she went to college to get a degree in finance. And
Oh,
so
the engineer one. No, the attorney
the
one.
attorney, the
Okay.
attorney. She went to school to get her degree in finance, and she did. They sent her around the country to do financial training for college students. She did a great job. But then when she needed a job, a job, and so she found a job at the state capitol of Texas, and she was a reader of the bill in the House of Representatives, which means that whenever the House of Representatives was in chamber and they were going through the bills, she would march up there and she would read the bill and then they would discuss it. But what it did was it put her around a bunch of attorneys.
The networking.
And when in just a year, she said, Dad, I know what I want to be. I love finance and all of that, but I want to be an attorney. And so she signed up to go to St. Mary's Law School in San Antonio. And she went 3 years, passed the bar before she turned 25.
That's
And
amazing.
she got a job as a under a judge, a federal judge, and that for a year. And then she went to become an assistant prosecuting attorney. She knew what she wanted to do, but it took her a while of moving forward. And finally, she stepped into something and said, "This is it." And she's doing great now.
No, that's a beautiful story. I really, really like, and that's exactly what kind of examples this whole program is about. So I'm really grateful for not only your example, but your daughter's example. That's amazing. And with that said, Scott, again, please combine all the links, social media, everything. I want them in the description of the video so that people can, reach out if something is needed. And huge thanks for being part of the show and for being my guest.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. You're a great host.
Thank
I
you.
love your energy and I love your questions and I love the stories that you bring to it. So thank you very much. This is great.
Likewise. Bye. Guys, I hope this one was useful. Please follow the channel on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, Gap, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Ring the bell and all the good stuff. Have a nice week ahead, and I'll see you next Sunday.